Hello and welcome to the 100th episode of Not Without My Sister.
Can you believe it, Beatrice?
Congratulations, Rosemary. The 100th episode on the main feed, because we've how many episodes on the Patreon?
We have, I think, 70 something on the Patreon, but we also have mini-sodes, but this is number 100 of like main regular big episodes.
I would like to say that at the beginning of this, I thought to myself, how can we sustain this? How could we possibly have enough to talk about for even 10 episodes? And yet, when you sit down there across from me, I think I could talk to you all day, at you all day.
I actually have to say, we have frequently sat down to do an episode, and 5 minutes in, I'm like, Jesus, we're not going to get 30 minutes out of this. And then at 30 minutes, I'm literally going, wrap it up, Beatrice.
Me?
Come on. Well, like the two of us, do you know what I mean? I'm like, it's time. Sorry, just because I do the timer.
Not always. Sometimes I do the timer.
Your phone is almost always dead. Where's your phone now?
It's out there charging. It just died as I was pulling up the episodes because I have to record. I have to. It just died as I was pulling up the topics because I have to record them all on my phone. So the battery's constantly draining with all the things that I'm writing in there.
With all the ideas that you're having. No, your battery is constantly draining because you hand it to your 4-year-old and he plays battery draining games all day long.
Well, how else am I supposed to read my book / do anything? Welcome to this 100th episode, special episode for us today. I had a different topic in mind, but now that I'm saying this, I'm thinking, Rosemary, what have you learned over this 100 episodes? What surprised you?
That was a really gross noise that came from the back of my throat. Did you hear that? I opened
No.
my mouth because I was going to go, I thought we should do a what did we learn from the podcast as well, but then I forgot about
That's
it.
because we're morphing into the same person, but I have a memory and you don't, and I take notes and you don't. And even when I call you and say, please put this in your notes section, you say, I will. And then afterwards I go, what was that great idea I had? And you go, didn't take the note.
There are a lot of differences between us. I have many chargers and you don't.
I have many chargers and they're now all sellotaped to an extension thing in there.
So that they can't be moved,
So
basically?
they cannot be removed by children. Yes. Did you not hear me screech at high dough yesterday when somebody went, like I saw somebody running around with a charger and I literally nearly freaked I actually shrieked at the top of my lungs, put that charger back. And then I was like, oh my God, maybe I overreacted. Like I just am now so into there's a bank of chargers in there. And when they come home from school, they plug in their iPads.
Do they do it
is-
themselves?
Yes, it is perfection. Because before that, it was every night. Where's your
Oh,
iPad?
I know. Where's the charger?
Yes. So now the chargers are all sellotaped in America, scotch taped into the extension cord thing, brick, and they do it themselves and they know to do it and they know where to go to get their iPads in the morning versus where did you plug it in? I can't remember, etc. You should do the same things. Actually brought a lot of sanity to my household.
That is actually a good idea. We usually just snatch the iPads ourselves and then charge them overnight for the kids.
Now, Rosemary, what have you, like, on the community of listeners that we've built up? We've had a lot of comments, mainly positive, a couple critical of my treatment of you, for which I'd like to apologize, but I can't bring myself to. So we'll have to keep going.
Sorry, that's in reference to a recent episode where Beatrice asks why I moved to America. And when I start telling her the very romantic reason that I wanted to spend more time with her kids, and I even start choking up for dramatic effect, you're like, that's not true. Literally, I'm like, oh, sorry, I don't know why I'm getting upset. You're like, anyway, that's not true.
Listen, okay, moving on. So I apologize for that because in case that it was true, I apologize.
That is the most ridiculous apology. In case that I was wrong, I apologize. I'm going to say that from now on. On the off chance that I was wrong, I apologize.
I may have been wrong, and if I was, I truly apologize. Right? Because you
Still
can never
crap.
prove that. So anyway, thinking about the community that we've built up, or do you build a community or does the community come to you? I don't know. There were a couple of people at the very beginning who wrote in things that really like warmed the cockles of my heart. One was from Australia, and she said that she really appreciated the podcast because on the way into school in the morning, her 13-year-old or 14-year-old, the two of them would listen to it together, and it was like a great way of bonding or communicating where they didn't always have like, you know, it kind of wasn't always about like, have you done this? Have you got your homework? Blah, blah. And it was a great kind of lighthearted way to bond with her teenage daughter. And I thought that was lovely. And that almost made me cry. And then I started walking around the house saying things like, there's a bigger meaning to all of this. This is really, I did. Do you remember?
You're actually so ridiculous. But you know what just occurs to me? It's probably nice as well for people who live in Australia, live in America, or just live outside of Ireland to have something they can listen to with Irish voices, like for their kids. Do you know what I mean? Because I frequently think about how your kids and Atlas and everything, like, oh, they're never going to hear any Irish accents except ours.
Well, apparently there's an Irish person living somewhere in Fort Wayne that I heard about yesterday from Brandon. Brandon
He's
said
never told me about this Irish
Brandon
person.
said that a friend of a friend,
Is he the barman in J.K. O'Donnell's? Because I've heard about this mythical person before.
this mythical Irish unicorn. No, I don't think he is Irish. I think he is not like the son of an Irish person.
Not the owner, but somebody who's working in the bar. Apparently is Irish.
It's not possible. Like when I first moved here, I was like, I'm going to join an Irish club, which is not really something I normally do because I feel like you should, socialize with the people in the area that you live in. And like when I lived in New York, there were all these Irish groups and they drove
Yeah.
me mad because I was like, why are you here if you just want to be in Ireland at the same time? I'd love to be back in Ireland. So like I just get in
A
my own way
conundrum.
sometimes. Yeah. I heard about an Irish woman who lives here yesterday.
I got a message from an Irish woman whose husband was just offered a job in Fort Wayne, and she was asking me if I think that they should take it. It would be 2 years living here, and she was asking me. So I said I'd send her a voice note because I have to think about it properly.
What? The answer is yes.
Well, I mean, like immediately I was like, yes, we can hang out.
But I mean, the answer is
Great.
yes. It's a great place to live. As my friend Kim said, she called me up a while ago, terrified, like really panicked on the phone. I was like, what's going on? She goes, I don't think I'm ever going to leave Fort Wayne. It's so easy to live here.
That's actually true.
Yeah, it is.
It is very easy to live here.
It's very easy.
Anyway, sorry, back to our centenary episode.
Oh, yeah.
What have we learned? Like, do you mean about podcasting or about life from the podcast?
No, about life. What have you learned about yourself, about your relationship with others, with me? What have you learned about? Well, we've certainly learned that nothing is off limits for Rosemary McCabe.
And we've learned that Beatrice is a surprising prude. But I don't think I ever knew that about you before.
I mean, there's prude and then there's just like in public, some things that I won't talk about in public. Happily talk. Didn't we just do an episode on the sexual advent calendar?
You can't even say it. That episode was supposed to be about crafts anyway.
I know, and I turned it into sex because I just can't help myself. It's like that episode of Titanic. There's no episode. It's like next on the Titanic. It's like the film Titanic. Where at the end the old granny
Coming
goes,
soon, season 2.
the old granny, who I can never actually equate in my mind with. I was always like, who is this granny? Oh, it's Rose. What? Such bad casting as well. Like nothing
Not
like an
great
old Kate
casting,
Winslet.
yeah.
I mean, and I never. It was like total. What's the term where like you just cannot equate one with the other? You know what I mean?
Cognitive
That's it.
dissonance.
Total cognitive dissonance. Especially then when she'd go, I'll have to get the saliva right in my mouth for this. When she's reflecting back on like Jack on the raft, her dream of a man who can't, as my kids keep complaining about, can't pull himself up on the raft for her, right? You take the raft. Anyway, it was so sexual.
I literally cannot remember that line, and I've seen Titanic at least 10 times in the last 6 months.
But you're real prudish with your kids. I let my kids watch Good Girls. So like you're real prudish with your kids. So maybe you fast forwarded through that.
Someone listening to this is going to call CPS and be like, she lets her kid watch Good Girls.
My 11-year-old. Only until I realised there was a lot of sex in it. And then I turned it off. And also the other day I talked about it with him and he had no memory of it. So great. Good job.
Blanked it out from the trauma.
Good parenting. That's right.
But yeah, I literally cannot remember that line. Am I more, do I hide? I mean, listen, our 9-year-old, but honestly, I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, if I showed him if I showed him a movie with a sex scene in it, right? I genuinely think he would die of shock.
Oh my God. I would die of shock. There's nothing worse, honestly. What was I reading the other day? And it was like a great combination of sex scenes, love. And I was like, oh, I'm not watching that. No, thanks.
Was it me telling you to read A Court of Thorns and Roses?
Oh, no. You know what I think it was? I think it was actually the second season of The White Lotus. I haven't even watched the first season yet, but it was second.
I did see somebody talking about sex and I was like, that's not really what I thought that was about.
I was like, oh, no, I just can't. I can't because, oh.
But sorry, can I just get back to my 9-year-old for a second?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've mentioned this in the podcast before, but Brandon printed out on this 3D print of like a can holder, right, for his friend. And the handle of the can holder is a huge penis.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a dildo from the sex shop of your nightmares, right? And he had it on the kitchen table, the can holder. And the 9-year-old walked in and he went, Dad, what's that? And we both look at each other and we're like, oh, like, you know. And I'm like, well, you printed it out. Like looking at him going, And the two of us are completely silent. And William goes, is that an arm? And Finn, the 7-year-old, kind of comes around the corner and goes, oh, that's a penis.
God bless.
I have learned that, you know what? It's really proved to me that, I mean, I suppose I knew anyway, but like the specific is so universal. So when we talk, you know, like when we talk about things, we talk about experiences we've had or places we've been or whatever. We're like, oh my God, remember that time? And it's like a very specific, unique to us, I think, story. And then the reactions are always like, oh my God, that made me laugh so much. It really reminded me of a conversation I had with my friend.
Well,
what, Beatrice? What? You're shaking your head like you disagree.
My head because I made this exact point yesterday because we no longer have original thought. We are now one symbiotic.
We're the Borg.
And yes, we are the Borg. The Borg.
Hang on, you and me, or everybody?
What?
You and me are the Borg.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We are the Borg. Oh, the Borg. Oh. I made this point yesterday to a friend who was over, and I said, "Oh." She goes, are you still doing the podcast? I really haven't had a lot of time to listen. I was like, that's fine. Like, you're over here listening to me now. You don't have to listen to me on your podcast as well. But really, inside, I was raging. No, I wasn't. You were raging inside.
I was raging.
I know. And outside as well, because you even said, you were like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Anyway, and she goes, she goes, I don't know if there's like a lot for me to relate to. Because my cousin and I were listening. We're like, A, they're hard to understand because they talk fast and they have Irish accents. I mean, I know she was really like cushioning it for me here. She goes, and B, I mean, I don't know that I'd have a lot to listen to with those topics. And I said, I think, some of the feedback we've heard is that, to your point, the specific is very universal. The more specific you can get, the more universal it is in a kind of weird way. Yeah, no, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
You know what that is? Because she just doesn't have a great sense of humor. You have to have a great sense of humor to relate to our stories and the things that we're talking about. And maybe she just doesn't. And she'll never know I said that because she doesn't listen. Can I just tell you now, speaking of people not listening, my husband, my hubs, Brandon, doesn't listen to the podcast because he's basically like, you've already told me that story probably twice. That's what he said to me the other day. So rude. Probably correct, but so rude. And then last week he says to me, oh, I listened to the episode with your cousin Roseanne. He hates you, Beatrice. And I was like, excuse me? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, you spent the whole week with her and then you want to listen, and you never want to listen to an episode with me and Beatrice. And he goes, I've heard all those stories before.
He absolutely has not.
But he specifically listened to the episode that wasn't with you.
I am refusing to be riled by this, Rosemary. Did he listen to the episode where you stalked that guy in a fur coat?
Sadly, I think yes, because that was one of the earlier episodes and he used to listen and then he got bored, I think.
He got bored?
Yeah, because he was like, Beatrice keeps bringing up that lie about the fur coat.
No, he did not ever say that.
That's what he said to me. He was like, I just don't think it's funny anymore. He was like, that didn't even happen. I know you, Rosemary. I know you'd never do that.
Absolute bitch, Rosemary McCabe.
I know you'd never lower yourself.
Yeah, right.
He just hasn't seen me like crawling along the ground like Samara from The Ring. Come back. Come back.
I knew we were meant to be together.
Finally, we could have been doing this all along.
Oh, God bless. Oh, my
Poor
God.
me.
What else did I discover? I discovered that I love a compliment, but like I knew that. I discovered that I'm very weak with flattery.
I discovered something I already knew. It was really reinforced for me, even though I really knew it already.
No, it's more that I go like how gullible I am. Like you can honestly get whatever you want out of me, and I don't.
I actually need to remember that because there are moments where we're doing the podcast or something, and we have a bit of a miscommunication where one of us, and it's usually you, gets annoyed.
Yeah.
No, I mean I definitely get annoyed.
No, it's usually me.
But anyway, and I could literally go, oh my God, I meant to tell you I love that something. And you'd be completely distracted from your rage.
1,000,000%.
I need to start doing that.
Yeah, honestly, I should do it to myself when I get annoyed. It could be a coping mechanism for things. Beatrice, you did a really good job this morning getting to work. You drove really nicely on the road.
Oh my God.
Probably calmed me down.
You know, it's just made me think of, remember that joke you told me years ago, right? A man walks into a bar and he stands at the bar and he orders a drink from the barman and he hears this little voice going, I love your shirt. And he's like looking around going, what? Like who said that? He looks to his left and there's this owl lad and he's like, he didn't say it. He looks to his right and there's this other owl lad. He's like, he didn't say it. And so he just ignores and keeps drinking his drink. And then he hears, you have beautiful colour eyes. And he's like, what the hell? Who said that? Oh my God. And he's looking around again. He's like, can't see anyone. And then he hears, your hair's a beautiful shade of brown. And he's like, what? Like, what the fuck? And then he turns to the barman. He's like, did you hear that? Like I think somebody is like kind of coming on to me or just saying, and the barman goes, oh yeah, that's the peanuts. They're complimentary. Do you not remember that? You told me that before.
I love that joke. It's actually amazing. Your little creepy voice is ridiculous. Your peanut voice.
That was actually similar to the voice that I do for Bo. I was really
That
channeling
joke's gas.
Bo that day in Ulta going, I've got a cute body too.
God, did you remember that?
See, Bo's someone who doesn't need a compliment. So he gives them to himself.
Oh, he loves compliments though as well.
He does love compliments.
Listen, actually, is this a stupid statement? Who doesn't love a compliment? A true, like a genuine compliment.
I think a lot of Irish people just
Mom
make
hates
compliments.
compliments.
Yeah, compliments
Mom.
make them really uncomfortable.
But mom just starts going like, no matter what, you go like, mommy, look, your hair looks very. Oh, I couldn't get it right now in the mirror.
Do you not think it's very square at the back?
So right. The girl cut it too short this time. I just like it a tiny bit longer. You're like, listen, luckily dad isn't at you with the buzz cutter. You're
Oh
good.
my God, have we mentioned that on the podcast before?
We
have, haven't
certainly
we?
have.
Poor
When
mom.
you were like
Poor
waving,
mom.
you were shocked, giving him hand signals.
I was drowning, not waving. Across the table.
God,
Absolute
God
disaster.
bless.
Never let dad near you with a razor. I mean,
That's probably good advice in
That's
general.
excellent
Okay,
advice,
there's
yeah.
some good stuff coming up here. Compliment people. Don't let people come at you with a razor. This is what we've learned so far. What else?
although if you are a child and you want a buzz cut, stop insisting that you go to the hairdresser for it. We'll do it for you at home.
100%. But then the problem is like it does like haircuts are not cut evenly. Like again, Captain Obvious over here. Because when you have a buzz cut, and Bo is evidence of this right now, and it grows back, the sides of his hair are like some terrible moss climbing down the side of a wall, like totally at odds. Like the rest of his hair is, the rest of the hair on his head is what, like probably 6 millimeters long now at this point. But all of this just looks all bedraggledy because that's usually nicely shaped,
I know what you mean. Bo just needs to embrace, you as his parent need to embrace the fact that Bo has incredibly thick hair and he could have hair like Steve from Stranger Things.
I tried that. Actually,
Oh,
I
what
should just bring a
happened?
picture.
Yeah.
He was like, I like to let them, make their own
No,
choices, but maybe
mm-mm.
that's wrong.
That is wrong. When it comes to Bo and his hair, I think you've proven now that it's wrong.
That's good. That's good advice. And he loves hair products. He'd love to put hair products in the morning.
Oh my God, back when I was rich, I just remembered I bought like $20 hair gel for these boys. I was trying to sell it on eBay.
What? Where is it?
In our press at home.
Oh, for your boys?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant for my boys. I was
No.
like, why is he still in your house? Oh, that makes more sense. Well, what else have we learned? So, oh yeah, you're right about that. I think you're right about that. Like, it's a lot of people wrote in and said that it was nice because they miss their siblings and they live abroad. But even people who live next door to each other said it was good for going on walks and cracking up and keeping people away from them.
Oh yeah. A lot of people were like, oh my God, I'm sure my colleagues think I'm mad. Somebody messaged me yesterday actually and said she listens to the Poochie Pants episode at least once a week to cheer herself up.
That's adorable.
I should have sent that to you. Look at you. Like Beatrice, honestly, it's like she's like a little cartoon bunny who just saw the sun for the first time. When I went, listen to Beatrice, like your eyes lit up, your whole face changed. You sat up.
Well, the other part of me is thinking that it's a bit problematic because I've realized now, like in hindsight, this is one of these Me Too moments, that was an abduction.
I think a lot of our episodes, in hindsight, and as I've listened back to them and as I've read people's reactions to them, have made me realize that we have a few problematic experiences that have happened in our lives, but also we have some problematic, maybe I'll speak more for myself, some problematic views, basically around bodies and around, like there was one episode we did and we were talking about self-care and I got a message from someone saying, I just listened to your episode on self-care, and she was like, and I'm not sure if this was intentional, but I found it really triggering because a lot of it was focused on diets. And I was like, God, I do think of self-care a lot of like, if I'm looking after my body, I'm trying to make it thinner. I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting.
Oh yeah, right now I'm just focused on getting some sleep. Would be great self-care.
Oh, listen, stop. Well, you know what I've learned as well? You can podcast on very little sleep.
You're proving us today.
The less sleep I have, much to Mom's chagrin, the gigglier I am.
Oh, well, that's
Probably.
good. That's good. Well, also the more emotional. You'll be crying at some point today. Oh my God, your face was like the opposite of the bunny seeing the light. You were the bunny seeing the curtains drawn down in the
I was
gloom
the bunny
of the
being
dungeon.
stuffed into a molehill. Get down there. No more sunlight for you.
Poor you.
That fucking baby.
So what else did you learn over 100 episodes? 173 episodes, as it turns out. But
Probably more than 200 if you count all the minisodes.
I learned that, actually, I'll tell you what else I learned. I learned that during the pandemic, it was a lot easier to podcast when we had much fewer
Distractions.
obligations.
Yeah.
Like it was much easier this sounds really obvious, and it is. Again, all of my observations are very obvious today, but when we were trapped in our houses with an inability to go anywhere, it was much easier to find time to sit down and podcast.
Sorry, even before one of your children is in a different school now and has to start and finish at different times.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Like that now takes up a lot
That's a
of
bummer.
your time. And like,
A lot of coordination.
you know what else? It was a lot easier to do when I lived here.
Oh my God, that was
great.
They were the best days now. Happily would live in a commune with you.
Oh my God, so
I'd
would
love
I.
that. I'd love now because will you move into the basement? We'll renovate it for you. I'd love it. But I really like those windows, so I want to come down and look at them a couple of times.
That would actually be a great idea now, because Brandon just lost his job and we could sell our house and just move into the basement. That would solve a lot of our problems.
Honestly, it'd be great. And then you'd be there on hand, whatever I need. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to have access to the freezer, though.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You know what? Doing this podcast made me realize that there's nothing that is awful. Like, there's nothing that you have in your head that you're like, I better not slag Rosemary about that in public because she'll be sensitive. You just don't care. You literally are like, Rosemary's sensitive about that. Better bring it up. Like, you never think like Rosemary's touchy about that, so I won't mention it. Like, Rosemary's touchy about that. I better mention it to
Rosemary. I'm
beat her out of it. I know exactly. Exactly. This is what you think. You're like, I'll just keep at you and at you and at you, and eventually you'll build up a wall.
It's true. It's like a carapace. A carapace. Carapace? Right?
Yeah, I can't.
One
I don't
of
know.
those.
Yeah, I don't know how that's pronounced.
Basically, a turtle. A tortoise's shell. A turtle. You'll build up a turtle shell all around your body, and you'll be like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle,
and then I'll be
except not
spending
teenage.
years in therapy trying to demolish that turtle shell.
No, you won't. You'll be in therapy. You'll be a middle-aged mutant Ninja Turtle. Because they're not teenage anymore.
I'm not sure I want to be
You'll be a middle-aged mutant Ninja Turtle. And they're all as happy as Larry. And you love pizza.
I would say I like pizza a normal amount.
No, nice pizza.
I don't feel like they ate nice pizza.
What? They don't, but you like nice pizza. We like nice pizza. I was thinking of buying Don a pizza oven for Christmas. Then
That's
I was
a
like,
great idea.
yeah, but then I was like, then I'm going to be dying for him to make it. I was like, maybe I need to buy myself a pizza oven for Christmas. Like, why shouldn't I make the pizza?
Well, but if you buy the pizza oven for him for Christmas, that takes a Christmas present off your list, and then you can also use the pizza oven.
Yeah, but I could also just tell him to buy me the pizza oven for Christmas because I made him buy all that.
But then you still have to
stuff.
think of something for him.
Oh yeah, I have lots of ideas for him.
Oh.
None. Okay, I thought of something else. That I've learned that, you read a lot of these studies about having friends makes you happier. Having friends is really important. Like meeting up with your friends is important. I truly enjoy every single podcast except the ones where we're really bitchy to each other at the beginning. But even then, we always get over that hump.
We're always happy by the end.
So happy by the end and so energized. And even though I'm like, oh my God, it's 9:00 and I'm exhausted and I want to go to bed and I've got work to do. By the end, I am always like, oh, that was great. It's like working out, except with none of those benefits. But by the end, I never regret.
There's some spiritual and emotional benefits.
Yes, but I'm saying none of the benefits of working out, but I always regret none of the health benefits. But I think there are health benefits to it, like that I do a lot of laughing and I feel really good afterwards.
You know what's interesting though? Like, I think what's actually positive about it is that doing the podcast forces us to get past the moment of anger and irritation in a way that we wouldn't, if we weren't doing the podcast, we were just hanging out and we got annoyed with each other. We would just be annoyed with each other. I'd probably be like, I'm going home.
Well, I mean, like the time I went over to your house recently and I arrived in the door and you went, oh, you're here.
Oh, no, Beatrice, that was a misunderstanding.
No, I had texted you and said, I'll be over at 12 with the boys. And you said, great.
I thought you were joking.
Why
then,
you would
because
think
then
this?
you sent me an emoji with the long nose like Pinocchio, and it turns out one of your children had your phone. I was literally like, Beatrice doesn't really use them. You said, I'm up now. We'll come over early, probably before 12. And the party was due to start at 2. So I was like, she's clearly joking. She never comes 2 hours early for anything. Then you sent me the Pinocchio emoji. I was like, oh, lol, it's a joke.
No, and then we all arrived over. I got them all dressed up.
But the
We all
fright of my
arrived over,
life.
and you went, oh, you're here.
The baby was fast asleep and then he
then-
got woken up by the ruckus.
But like, regardless, you'd said 12 was fine, even if the Pinocchio emoji hadn't popped up.
Because I thought you were joking. Even before the Pinocchio emoji, I was
Well-
like, yeah, Beatrice, see you at 12.
So are we basically saying that over the last 173 episodes, communication has not improved?
Communication by text, I would say, has not improved.
Communication by text is not good for anybody.
No, especially us.
It's a poor way to communicate, especially with mom. ...
Sorry, yeah, but Mom's just started putting in random. Like, it started with just the fortune cookie emoji, and now it's like, what are you even saying?
You're right, 12 hours later. I'm still waiting for the text from her as well.
Mom is typing. Okay, kiss, kiss. And into your... What? How did that take you that long?
Oh,
But anyway, no, like the only thing I was going to say is, like, you know, sometimes we're doing the podcast, we get really annoyed at each other, and then I have to take a deep breath and go, but the thing is, Beatrice, and like sound really sunny, and A, I'm really good at that, right? Like
You
a
are good at that.
psychopath.
You are very good at that.
But B, if we didn't have to record the podcast, I feel like there would be moments where we'd just be annoyed with each other. Whereas it really goes, this isn't, like, really makes me think this isn't important. We just need to get past it.
That's my point. When I went over to your house and you behaved like that and you made us all feel unwelcome, I went and sulked in the chair for a good 10 minutes.
And
you
then
came
we got over it.
Then we got over it. But it took longer than it would have taken if we were in
Oh,
the
yeah.
middle of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We wouldn't have sat in front of our microphones for 10 minutes, like sulking.
No. Well,
That'd be ridiculous. What was that face? Are you
I'm
saying,
just
well,
like,
I
feel
would,
like,
or you
no,
would?
No, I feel like maybe we have done that in the past. Sometimes.
Yeah, but not lately because we just never have the time to waste.
No, we don't have time to be fighting anymore.
Would you recommend to someone to do a podcast with their sister?
I absolutely wouldn't. I feel like there's a very good one out there already. It's called Not Without My Sister. I would. I think it's just a great way of making sure that you make time to chat and hang out.
Would you listen to it?
To what?
To someone else's podcast with them and their sibling.
Yeah.
Chatting.
Yeah, because I listened to that other one as well that we were guests on, the sibling.
Oh, relatively.
Yeah, I thought that was good. It was interesting.
Yeah.
I also thought that whoever was on after us was much more interesting than us, which annoyed me. But
oh, that is annoying.
yeah, they had like really in-depth and insightful things to say about each other, and I feel like I was not fully prepared for that at all.
Well, I said some very emotional things about you.
You did.
Yeah, but that's also, you know what? I've had, nearly 20 years now of plumbing the depths of my own experience for like emotional content. So I'm used to it now. I was actually thinking this morning, like, this is awful. And this just goes to show my mind has been warped by these years of creating content. I was like thinking about Brandon losing his job and I was like, maybe I could become a frugality influencer.
That's not awful. That's not half as awful as yesterday, Brandon. Yesterday, Brandon was over. We were having Thanksgiving dinner and he showed a picture of his kids who were not with us, who were with their mom. And they were sending him Snapchats and he goes, look at my kids.
Oh, yeah.
And he showed the picture of one of them like dressed up with a bunny filter on or whatever. And in my mind, this is not a joke, I went, oh, God, I'm really not interested in kids. I wonder if I'd feel differently if I had my own.
Maybe that was the wine.
No, that was just my initial reaction to kids. That's bad.
But that's always been your reaction to kids who aren't your own.
No, but I forgot.
You forgot you had your
any.
own. I know, Beatrice, it was a long day.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a long and stressful
That made me worry
day.
about myself. I was
You obviously had not been giving thanks for your kids. You've been giving thanks for your child estate. And then you suddenly were like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I do obviously give thanks for my kids. I mean, they were actually okay yesterday as well.
Oh, they were
well
actually
behaved.
Pretty good. Yeah, I didn't really see them. That was grand.
Yeah,
except for Fox.
Except for Chance, who was throwing fits and going upstairs.
Two chances, actually.
Yeah, listen, they're all. The thing is, Don and I were talking about this the other day. Like, it's hard when they're all at such different stages. Even though you're like, oh, it's great because they're all close together, but they're not at all because you have 4, 6, 8, 11, and they are all going through their own mini crises of identity at entirely different times and about entirely different things.
Yeah, and like unable to relate to each other because the 8-year-old's like the 6-year-old's being a baby, but then the 11-year-old's like, fuck that 8-year-old.
And then they're all babies, really.
I know.
Pets.
Oh, God. Soon enough they'll be moving out.
Oh, God, don't say that.
God, Nash will be learning to drive in 4.5 years.
Oh, my God, don't say that. That's terrifying. Well, he's very responsible. Bo's the one I'd be worried about. Can you imagine? Actually,
oh, my God.
Really worried about Bo driving.
Very worried. Bo would be like fucking bumper cars. Can you imagine?
But Bo also, like, you'll be going, Bo, look out the window. Keep your hands on the wheel. Like, I sent him into the kitchen yesterday. We were 4 feet away from the kitchen. I go, Bo, go over there, will you, and grab that milk. Yeah, Mom, I will. He's very obliging.
Did he forget what he was doing?
Jumps up, walks over, hands up. He always has his hands up in the air. What, Mom? What am I doing now? What's next? I was like, oh my God.
Oh, well, you know what? Maybe he'll surprise us all.
I'll tell you what else I've learned. That I love my mom and dad.
Oh, we talk about them all the time, don't we?
Yeah. And
even though they ask us not to.
I know that we're lucky. Well, we've talked about them less recently because I feel like we really did talk about nearly everything we had to say about them. But I think I could probably think of a couple more things. They really are a mine of entertainment. And we're lucky to have such a good relationship with them because they're actually gas.
They are actually gas.
And I wish they were here now, but they're not because Mom broke her wrist.
Oh my God, they're fucking meant to be here. I know. And I had a dream the other night that they just surprised us. Well, somehow they lured us to the airport. We didn't know we were going to pick them up. We just were going to the airport. And then I was like, oh my God, Mom and Dad are here.
So annoying.
I
And then you
know.
woke up and they weren't.
I know, and had to look after my own baby.
Oh, they're actually so annoying as well. Because like the day that I found out mom was in hospital, I only found out by accident, right?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, I called dad. Yeah, doesn't look like we'll be over for Christmas. You can forget about that. I'm like, way to cushion the blow.
No, that's pretty much what he said to me as well.
I also just want to say this because I know this is on the main feed, so I know that mom and dad will hear this, and I know mom will appreciate it.
You have a very bold face. What is it?
I just want to say, poor mom with her broken wrist, and you know how she got that broken wrist? She was tying her shoelace on the toilet. His dad would say, "It's a funny place to have a shoelace."
Mom would honestly die of more. Poor mom. Mom, I'm sorry she said the words toilet and mom and shoelace in the same sentence. Mom doesn't. Nobody needs to know that mom has a toilet in her house and that she goes anywhere near it.
She doesn't use it. She just puts her foot up on it.
She just uses it for her shoelaces.
It's a footrest.
No, I was going to say, my favorite thing that's happened as a result of the podcast is that not once but twice, a stranger has approached our mother when she's been having lunch with her friends, the same group of friends, amazingly, and said, "Are you Rosemary and Beatrice's mom? I listened to the podcast." And she has been, I can imagine like the cogs in her brain whirring and being like, this person knows this about me, they know this about me, they know that about me, they know this. Oh my God, they know this about me, they know that I have a shoelace in my toilet. Oh my God,
And somebody knocked on the door of the house. Somebody who lives in Strafford. Do you remember?
Oh, did they?
Do you remember last year? Dad sent us a picture of them at the doorbell with the Ring doorbell.
Oh my God. Sorry,
well-
Dad sent a picture the other day and said, "I thought the boys would like this picture of this dragon." And I was looking at it for so long going, what is he talking about? He's like, "Do you not see that shiny thing looks like a dragon's eyes?" He's got a great imagination.
Oh, he does have a good imagination for sure. But don't bother engaging in a conversation with it. Dad, when did you first notice? I don't want to talk about it. It's just a comment. And it is what it is. You're reading too much into it. This intellectualism. Yeah, but anyway, this person stopped at the door and rang the doorbell and said they lived around the corner and that they listened to the podcast. And that
Poor
was
mom.
Well, mom and
must
dad
have been mortified.
more than anything else. They were baffled, entirely baffled. This thing that we listen to
Oh,
where you
yeah.
embarrass us, other people listen to.
Yeah, why would anyone listen to that? They didn't know you. It makes no sense. You can honestly, you can say she's very supportive.
She is, but she can't have it both ways. Why would anybody listen? She only wants people who don't know us to listen because she doesn't want. It's her worst nightmare. Anybody who does know her listening.
I know. Anytime I've said to her, "Oh my God, listen to the podcast," you can just see her going, "Don't want to know. I don't want to know." Like our old school principal. Oh God. Poor mom. We love you and
Mom.
Dad so much.
We do. We appreciate you. Thanks for raising us so well.
Before we start each episode of the podcast, off mic, we say to each other, "Make mom proud."
We should do that.
Thank you all so much for listening to more than 100 episodes of Not Without My Sister.
It's amazing. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, thanks for your patience. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your 5-star reviews,
Oh, God.
especially.
I was going to say that, but I realized that this wasn't about what do you love about the podcast. I was about to say, love the 5-star reviews, but like I was getting carried away.
We will be back next week with our 101st episode. God knows. How will we make mom proud then?
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
I've been trying to do it right. I've been living a lonely life. I've been sleeping here instead. I've been sleeping in my bed. Sleeping in my bed.
So show me family, all the blood that I will bleed. I don't know where I belong. I don't know where I went wrong.
But I can write a song. I belong with you. You belong with me, and my sweetheart. I belong with you. You belong with me, and my sweetheart. I don't think you're right for him. Think of what it might have been if we took a bus to Chinatown. I'd be standing on Canal Bowery. She'd be standing next to me. I belong with you. You belong with me, and my sweetheart. I belong with you. You belong with me, and my sweetheart. Love, we need it now. Let's hope for some. 'Cause oh, we're bleeding now. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart.
Not Without My Sister is produced by Liam Geraghty, sound and original music by Don Kirkland, and our original illustration is by Lindsay Nielsen.
Well, I need a tea top up before we go into the next episode.
For God's sake.
Do you want another one?
I'm sure I'm probably only a third of the way through this one.
No, you're not.
Oh, no, yeah, I will, yeah.
Or do you want a coffee? That was a good one.
Actually, I'll have a coffee if you don't mind. Just black.
Just black.
Instant is even fine.
You're getting instant.
Oh, thanks.